Hi, welcome to your installation of Ask a Leatherneck. Today we have Parker Smith and Alexis Trifano, and they are Assistant Complex Directors in Thompson Hall. Will you please introduce yourself and tell us your responsibilities at Thompson?
Thanks, Tammy. Like Tammy mentioned, my name is Parker Smith. I'm a first-year graduate student in the College Student Personnel Program here at Western. I use he, him pronouns. I'm originally from Minnesota. I just finished my undergrad at the University of Minnesota-Morris, and I'm happy to be talking with you today. Alexis?
Hello, I'm Alexis Triunfo. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm currently also a first year in the College Student Personnel Student Affairs program here at Western Illinois University. As a graduate assistant, I'm serving as an assistant complex director.
And can you please tell us, Alex, what are your responsibilities as a complex director?
As an assistant complex director, I think a large portion of our responsibilities include supervising the resident assistants that are on our campus and in our complex community, as well as doing a lot of administrative work for the Department of Housing as a whole, trying to make sure that everything operates smoothly with move-in and with our front desk operations. I think a majority of my responsibilities fall under there. Parker, if you want to chime in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I kind of see us as a bridge in between our resident assistant undergraduate student staff and our full-time professional staff, which starts with our live-in complex directors. And so we bridge that gap and we provide connections between our student staff and our professional staff.
So can you tell us what is a resident assistant?
Yeah, for sure. I think I started to get after it a little bit. Resident assistants are undergraduate student staff who live on the floors. So oftentimes they're the front line of support when it comes to being there for our students in the building. They host events. They're there as a referral agent, helping students get into contact with the resources they need, and just providing that presence on the floor. Alexis, do you have anything you want to add?
I think you covered it well. I think they're really there to help foster that sense of community that when people think of the college experience, resident assistants are there to help make that possible and helping with making sure that everyone feels like they belong on the floor, building those connections, hosting those programs, and then also being there as someone. If a resident doesn't know the answer to a question, they're kind of like the first line of people that they go to.
Great. So can you tell us what should a student expect for move-in weekend?
Yeah, that's a great question and one that we get a lot of questions about during the summer and leading right up to August. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind in move-in weekend is that it's really the jump off, the starting point for your college experience. So my big thing that I always like to keep in mind is that it's something that you should take your time with. It can be really tempting to just like throw all your stuff in your room, get mom and dad on the road, and try to rush into things. But it takes a while, and it's a day that should be significant for you, and sort of taking time to appreciate the significance of that, I think, is really helpful.
Yeah, I'd like to add, oh, sorry about that.
No, please.
I'd like to add that I think, we do have a lot of student staff working here to help with the move-in weekend as well, that we, as far as assistant complex directors being available, we also have all of our RAs slated to be available during move-in weekend to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. If anyone needs any help, and of course, there are going to be some hiccups when you're moving to a new place for the first time, so that's what the RAs are there to help assist with, as well as assistant complex directors and complex directors.
Can you share with us what students should know before coming to campus? Are there some do's and don'ts of things not to bring or to bring? Or do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, for sure. I think some of our do brings and don't brings, I think is a great place to start. I think some of the things that we would recommend not bringing would be any animals that aren't previously approved. I know that we do allow fish, so that's a big one that people like to bring with them, as well as anything that could be a hazard when it comes to fire. So we don't recommend bringing candles or hot plates, things along that nature. For some things that we definitely recommend bringing, I think a Brita is the biggest thing that I forgot when I moved in. A Brita water filter, so you can always get water without having to go down all the stairs to get it. Some other things that I'd recommend bringing, I think a mattress topper is another big one. because a lot of people aren't accustomed to sleeping on the beds that we provide here. So a mattress topper would be another thing.
Parker, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, those are terrific. The Brita suggestion blew me away. That's a great idea. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. One thing that I always recommend is definitely shower shoes. If we're still doing things to bring, we do a terrific job of keeping the showers clean, but anytime you're doing something with communal showers, always recommend shower shoes, shower caddy. But one thing I like to remind people, especially when they're coming from a little bit farther away, most of our students are from at least a couple hours away. When you're coming from a couple hours or even farther, you don't have to bring absolutely everything that you need. Macomb has a Walmart. We have other stores that you can shop around to. So don't feel like you have to run out and do all this shopping and pack your already full car full of your Brita filter and your shower caddy. A lot of that stuff you can get once you're already here on campus.
Thank you. So can you tell us what type of floors are available on campus?
Yeah, so currently Parker and myself are serving as assistant complex directors in Thompson. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Thompson. We have floors that are broken up by gender. And so you can, if you choose to live in Thompson, live on a floor with just the gender that you prefer. And so on those communities, it's roughly about 30 to 40 people per floor, I would say. And then we have specific floors as well for certain communities, such as a transfer experience floor, an ROT specific floor, and honor specific floors. So those are some of the communities that we offer in Thompson.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Alexis. That's terrific. I think how I like to frame it to people is that whatever kind of community you're looking for is a community that we have. If you want to have an experience specifically geared towards yourself as a transfer student, we have that. If you're a freshman coming in and you want to be with other people who are figuring out the college experience and making those connections, we have that. If you're in the honors program and you want a little bit of a quieter, more studious floor experience, we have that. If you're training to be an Army officer and you want buddies to get up at 6:30 to go running with, we've got that. We have a whole slew of floors themed towards different disciplines and fields like agriculture, business, STEM, fine arts. We have floors that are co-ed. We have floors that are open housing. We really have basically anything somebody could want in terms of options.
Thank you. You had earlier mentioned programs and activities that are put on by the RAs and the halls. Can you kind of give us an idea of what students can be expecting when they come and things that they can be involved in on campus?
Yeah, there's certainly no shortage of activities all across campus, but I think we'll focus mostly on the things in the buildings and on the floors for now. From the minute students arrive on campus, they have opportunities to connect with each other, but then we have a very strong push, especially in the beginning of the year, to provide structured opportunities for students to bond and to do learning outside of the classroom. We have a very strong programming model for our first 6 weeks of the semester that we call the Leatherneck Connection Experience, to make sure that we're providing students all of those opportunities to engage with each other. And whether that's the RA leading a floor meeting or a social event, or the RA taking people to dinner together or taking them to the campus-wide scavenger hunt, we do, I think, a really great job of making sure that everyone has an opportunity to engage in a way that they feel comfortable.
Thank you. And you mentioned meeting roommates and people on your floor. Can you tell us, I imagine roommates are selected before they come to campus, but if you made an amazing connection with someone and you thought about switching roommates, can you speak to what the process is of changing a roommate?
Sure, definitely. So we follow a model here that you can remain with your roommate and make sure that that's a good fit for you within the first 10 days. We try to keep everyone where they're located for those first 10 days to see what their options look like. And then past that first 10 days of classes mark, you can go ahead and begin switching your roommates if you choose. Like if you make an amazing connection with someone else, you find someone that fits with your schedule better. And so that is a relatively simple process of just going and speaking with our hall clerk and then organizing a room change. It's a pretty hands-free process as far as that goes, just making sure that the paperwork is submitted via the hall clerk. And then also, if something comes up before those 10 days, if there's definitely a circumstance where it'd be more beneficial for the student, for those extenuating circumstances, we definitely make exceptions before those 10 days if they need to go ahead and switch their room to somewhere else.
Okay, thank you. And I have one last question for you. I just want to give you all the opportunity to give us any last information you want to provide to us, if it's social media handles, if you want people to follow you on your platforms, And last thoughts.
Yeah, I would. That's a good plug for the social media. Before you arrive on campus, I would really encourage, especially when we're talking about things to bring, things not to bring. I would really encourage folks to check out our website through the WIU website, University Housing and Dining Services, and of course all of our wonderful UHDS social media, which is linked there. But I think the thing that I would keep in mind as I was coming to campus, if I could give one piece of advice to myself when I was starting my undergraduate journey, is that all of the folks around, all of the folks in housing, the folks in the dining center, all of the staff at the institution are really there to support you. And what's best for you and making sure you have a good experience is going to be their top priority. And I think if I had learned that earlier, I would have taken a whole lot more advantage of the opportunities I had. So that's one thing that I would keep in mind.
Thank you, Parker.
Yeah. Similar to Parker, I think I just keep in mind how accessible these head staff members are and these resident assistants are. So just making sure not being afraid to reach out, because we love interacting with students more than anything. And so I will happily answer as many questions as people have, just as long as people reach out.
Okay, thank you so much, Parker and Alexis, for your time. And this was Ask a Leatherneck. Thank you.